following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Well, if you liked last week, you might like this week because it hasn't stopped. I do have William O'Brien, who is running again, and also if he is elected and the majority are Republicans, he's going to run for the speakership. And I also have Al Baldessaro here. How are you again?
Good to see you this week.
You know, we didn't shake hands goodbye last time.
Yeah,
I don't think we were.
I don't know what happened. I mean, that show went so fast, you know. And, you know, I'm sure Bill didn't mean to beat up on you too bad, but, you know.
No, you know, we were talking a little before the show, and you're correct. We are local, and we probably should talk about local issues, but there are some things happening on a national level that everyone is talking about.
Most people don't realize that we're actually friends.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That Democrats and Republicans
Well, I've lost all my Democrat friends.
Can't get along.
And by the way, if you're a Democrat or a Republican and you like what we're saying or don't like what we're saying or don't like what I say, why don't you just come in? I'll give you 5 minutes and just sit down and give me hell if you want to.
Call us.
But I am getting a little sick and tired of just, I love these guys, I really do. But it would be nice to have a Democrat come in. And the only Democrat we had was Mary Nelson?
Mary Nelson,
she's
a great lady. And it was a
You sit right next to her, too.
Yeah, I sat next to her this past term. And she's just a delight to know as a person, and you know, really good conversations. I think she thinks about what she's doing and tries to do the right thing.
Oh, she's smart.
Yeah, she's very smart.
No, Mary is
as a consequence, she was out with her leadership, you know, because they don't need that in your caucus. But
yeah, she's outspoken. They don't like that. Yeah. That's probably why they don't like you.
Well, they don't like me because I hang around with you guys and I laugh.
I think it has to do a little bit more because we kind of, you know, twisted your arm a little bit and you voted on that against the gas tax.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Okay.
I
whispered it as
I have some beliefs, and I'll tell you, I didn't vote for the gas tax, but if I thought it was going to be close, I would have voted for the gas tax. I'm sorry. I believe that our infrastructure should be updated, kept going, but if you're going to take 4.5 cents from the person per gallon, I would like to see 6 or 7 cents coming from that in work and you know, promoting the state. But that's that.
You know, I was talking to a guy today. I was out having lunch with my carpenter working on my house, and he's a trucking industry. He didn't care that there was a gas tax. He said, "Well, I'll just pass it on to my consumers. No big deal." So that means he's got to raise his prices. You know, so people are paying more. It's a ricochet effect.
And if he charges too much, the
it's not that he's charging too much.
Quite simply is
4.2 cents.
Yeah,
that's going up. I mean, by the time you fill up a big truck or 20 gallons or 25 gallons like my car, you know, I mean, it gets up there.
And so this shows...
And I do 12 gallons. I'm upset, yeah.
And this shows the distortion that high business taxes cause. And that's why when we go into the next session that we're going to be looking to reduce business taxes in New Hampshire. We discussed last week how New Hampshire has the highest business taxes in the region, higher nationally than all but the 2 other states. We're number 48 near the bottom when it comes to states that have really high income tax. In the bottom in a bad way. Our taxes are very, very high. higher than Massachusetts, higher than Rhode Island, higher than New York, California.
I
So
can't.
we got to work on that.
I'm sorry. I should know all this stuff. I just don't have that. You are saying stuff to me because I usually do it to you guys that I haven't checked that.
What you have to do is there a group?
But there are two ways of looking at everything.
Well, there's the factual way and then the non-factual way.
Then there's the Democratic way. I know.
But so what people need to do is to access the records through Google, a group called the Tax Foundation. And
whoa! Hold
It's
on a second.
It's
There is a
nonpartisan.
Nonpartisan, yeah.
Nonpartisan.
yeah, it's just Tax Foundation.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'll see it there. You can also, most of your viewers know about CNBC. I mean, if anything, it sort of shades a little bit to the left side of the spectrum. And nonetheless,
Like Fox.
and nonetheless, it's shown how over the past 2 years, only 2 years, we've gone from number 19, which Al and I and others worked hard to achieve in terms of favorable business environments. New Hampshire's gone from being number 19 down to we're in the 30s. With this rate, as I pointed out last time, if we just continue this same rate of decline, we're going to be down with Louisiana and Mississippi.
You were there for 2 years.
Yeah, we achieved quite a bit.
There hasn't really, 2 years is really not over that we've had a Democrat. For all intents and purposes, it is. And you're saying within that period of time, we have just ran everything right to hell.
I'm not saying that. CNBC says that. CNBC
When you had a supermajority, 297 to 103, I was on 103.
We passed
This was not
business
fun.
bills.
Question is, why did they get rid of you guys?
Well,
They did not understand.
We have wave election. I know. Why did you go
Obama.
get
They did
100?
not
Why did you only get
understand?
103 seats?
Yeah, how come?
No, they didn't
And how come
understand.
you lost many by 3, 4,
no,
or 5
but
votes?
that's a little 297, and all of a sudden you're the minority.
No, going
That's a little-
from 230, I think you were, down to 103. What happened there? What happened? You know, that's the question. Your party's great in asking a question that it doesn't want to answer, which is they were wave election. You want to know what happened really, Ken? You brought in 100,000 new voters.
Oh,
Same-day registrants.
And you want to know something
And
else?
thousands of registration cards never came back.
You took away
thing
the-
about that is that the way these guys talk, I mean, you're like daily. They dig people up from the grave and they bring them in. It's like, come on.
You did that too?
Call the
I didn't think you did.
Call the Secretary of State's office and ask him how many of those affidavits went out. How many came back after the election with no address? Nobody living at that address.
You know,
ask the Secretary of
first of
State.
all-
Don't believe O'Brien Baldessaro.
Rochester, we had, I think it was 49 people living at one address. We went to look at it. It was a vacant lot. It was a vacant lot.
It's true.
Don't
It's
say
true.
that.
It's
You guys are...
So why did
You know
we...
something?
Martha Fuller Clark,
I
how many
don't
lived at her
even
house?
believe that. I wouldn't even believe
How
that.
many lived at Martha Fuller Clark?
I
Because
wouldn't
12 people
I
lived
wouldn't
it,
dare
voted
to
out
say
it.
that to you guys.
But it's the
Like,
truth,
Because you wouldn't. That'd be a
Because
lie,
you
but we can
couldn't be a
say
lie.
it because it's the
Bill
truth.
O'Brien
It would be a
and
lie.
Bill Taro against
You would be lying again.
All right, okay, all right. Let us get to
Let me
a little
ask you
to
why the former chair of the Democrat Party, Martha Fuller Clark, had 12 voters living at her house. Why did Joe Biden's niece vote, I believe by absentee ballot, out of Manchester? She doesn't live here. She lives in Delaware. Why?
Excuse me, how many people at Martha Fuller Clark?
12.
And how many people were there during the campaigning, etc.? 12 extra people. So where do they, after being there for 4 or 5 months, 6 months, don't they have the right to vote? Well, how long do you have to be in New Hampshire before you can vote in New
You're going to be
Hampshire?
a year.
You're just making all that up.
1 year. You should. It should be 1 year. You're a resident. Okay, just like it's 1 year. You know, for you to become a resident, to take in-state tuition, to get a driver's license. I think that's 60 days or 90 days. But these people aren't even getting driver's licenses.
Oh, yeah, you guys,
They're screwing the cities and towns.
10 years, we have not had one problem with people coming in and voting illegally.
We've had a lot of problems.
All over the country.
In 2004, I went to the Attorney General and said that 50 people voted out of one address at Daniel Webster College in Nashua, where we are right now.
What's wrong with that? That's a college.
One address. And we went
That's a college.
We
No,
went to
that's not
find them,
true.
and we couldn't
That's
find
not
them. They
true.
It's a
weren't there
college.
anymore.
Daniel
They
Webster
weren't-
is a college.
They're paying non-resident fees.
Hold on a second. Are you trying to tell me that college kids now can't vote?
They can vote in their hometown absentee, like I did in the military. I voted absentee for my state. I pay taxes to Massachusetts. We're the
Okay,
Mass.
so you're using a college as one address.
They're non-residents.
Oh, okay.
They're non-residents.
Yeah,
not
you want to
paying
know
in-state
something? I'll tell you
tuition.
what. If they turned around and voted also from where they come from, or sent in an absentee ballot, I might feel sorry for you guys. But guess what? College towns all across the country, the same thing has happened. It all evens
That's not
out.
true. That's not
not
true.
true.
That's not true. Other
Oh, so
states
New
you
Hampshire's
cannot.
really bad?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's not true.
your party has
You
sent
cannot.
your party has sent buses around UNH on election day with banners across
Right.
saying, "Get a free sub, register, come vote with us."
Oh, and we use something like this, and they were using something like
No, you're
this.
right. No, it's true.
Are you trying to
we were
tell
behind
me
the times.
that
You're right. We were behind the times. I have to
how
admit
in the
it.
world,
It's shameful, but
with
we have to admit
the
it.
president being as bad as he was for those 4 years, all the bad things he does, how could he rout the great Romney?
Very
Talking
simple.
about Romney, is he
Wait a
coming
minute.
back?
He didn't route
He
any.
routed
He didn't
them.
route
How many
anybody. He got
emails
fewer
to
votes
TANF and
the
other
second
stuff
go
there?
around than he had the first
Yeah, you
go
got
around.
fewer votes, but he's
I
president.
don't know how
again.
true it is, but
we got to look at this.
I don't know how
I'll tell
true
you
it is,
that.
but what I read before, like people on the TANF were getting messages to get out and register to vote. Go, they need your help there, okay, in different areas.
So?
Now, I might have to research to try to find the the article on that there. So this is how they got out to vote. Got out low-income people that never voted in their life. And I'm glad they stepped up to the plate.
you know,
But at least you
and
have a
so
correct
what you
address.
guys are doing across the country, and what we should do here, actually, is we should have more than one day to vote. We only vote on Tuesday. I don't know why we don't do a Saturday, one Saturday plus a Tuesday directly after that. All you guys, especially in Florida, where they had like 3 or 4 days, all of a sudden they realized that if you give them that much time, people that much time, they'll come out and vote, but they vote Democrat. So you guys have taken that away from people who
Ken,
don't
what-
have time to vote on
Ken,
one day.
What are you talking about? We took away what?
I don't
There never
understand.
has been multi-day voting.
Well, yeah.
So what did we
There's
take
no,
away?
not here in New Hampshire, no.
But in other
no,
states,
not here in New
But
Hampshire.
in other states, there's been
Excuse me.
an election day.
Excuse me?
There's only a few states
There
that
hasn't
have.
been multi-day
There are a few
voting
states that do that.
where?
There's some.
in Florida?
There's some states that allow you
in
to mail.
Texas?
Look at the size
But,
of
but
Also,
Florida
and
wasn't
also in the
those.
southern states?
Florida was. We didn't.
Not all of southern
We did
states. That's
what?
not true.
We did what?
We didn't.
We didn't change. That what you're saying? We didn't make a change to the law.
They're getting
but we
smarter
did
than
fix
me.
the law.
I
and
used
put
to
in
be able to take on
voter,
4. Now I'm having
we
trouble
put
with
in
2.
a voter
Yeah.
ID law, and that wasn't good enough for the Democrats. Oh, you're going after minorities. Oh no!
You know
what's one of
the problem is, the fact
What's
is,
the
and
problem?
you guys don't have to, you don't need,
The polls show
you don't even
70,
need a
80% of
computer
people
to
in New
figure
Hampshire
out this.
support it.
It does hurt the minorities.
How?
It hurts
How?
them. It also hurts the minorities, and more so to only have one day to vote,
they
which
buy
is on a
cigarettes,
Tuesday.
minorities?
That's not right.
Minorities. What do you consider minority?
How do we, as a,
What do you consider a minority? Tell me, what does a minority mean to you?
well, at this table, me.
Yeah, no. How?
I'm a
Okay.
minority.
Do you take medication? Do you take medication?
What the hell?
I'm asking. You need an ID card to get any type of antibiotics. Do you go buy cigarettes? You don't smoke anyways. You need an ID. You buy alcohol. You need an ID. When I was low income, before I started working, I had an ID card in order for me to go buy my beer.
And
You go into a federal building, go in a
guys,
plane.
That's right,
you
you go on a
guys
plane.
turned around and took care of a problem that
You didn't
didn't
answer my
exist
question.
because you guys were getting screwed at the polls because the majority of the people, the poor
You didn't
people
answer my question.
were coming in and
What
voting.
is a minority to you, to the Democrats?
I am a minority.
How are you a minority?
Ken,
I'm one Democrat. You're two
Ken,
Republicans.
Okay.
Ken,
Yes.
it is the most absurd argument that you've made since we've sat around this table together.
That's right.
To say that we're trying to keep people from voting by
it is.
just asking them to identify
That's why I had to go
themselves.
back at him.
There's nothing absurd about that. There's nothing really
Oh,
discriminatory
okay.
about
So if a person
that.
comes in with
Just to ask somebody
a
to-
person used to be able to come in with a a light bill or a tax bill. This is where I live, and you know who I am. I don't have a driver's license. Now they have to. You've got to go out and get a federal ID.
What is so
and
important?
I thought you guys were the guys who didn't want Big Brother on your shoulder. Now federal IDs.
What is so important?
Federal IDs.
No, not federal.
What is real important with these arguments is that we tether you to reality. And the reality was a bill that we said you could bring in your utility bill. If you don't have an ID, you can't form it, bring it in, and you know what we'll do? We'll take a picture of you and we'll put it in our records.
Right.
And so the next time Ken Gidge, who can afford a free identification card, which is another thing we said, if you can go to the DMV and get a free, next time Ken Gidge shows up without his free identification card, we can just look there and say we have
Question, is that law now?
No, you
What
opposed it.
happened?
You opposed
What
it.
happened?
The Democrats
You
opposed
killed
it.
it.
And an activist,
Wait a minute.
Democrat,
The Democrats
liberal.
opposed that?
Yes.
I don't believe that. I don't care.
Ken, I bet you we could show you voted against
Yeah.
it because on all these issues, Democrats
Do you want me to
move
look that
forward
up right
like
now, Ken, while
lemmings.
he's talking?
No, I don't want you to look at it. Okay, let's move on.
It's just very simple.
We're here in New Hampshire. We sort of don't feel it as much as people in the southern part of the country. We are having illegal immigrants coming in, mothers carrying kids. We saw
Criminals.
probably one of the worst things. I don't know how you took it. One of the worst things was mothers and children being picketed by people where they had to stop the buses and they couldn't be brought to a place where they could be fed and sheltered.
that's not true.
How'd that hurt you? Did you like this? Did you when you saw that? How did you feel about it?
I feel real disappointed in a president that's produced such a problem at our borders.
That's right.
A president who chose not to enforce our immigration laws, not to deport individuals who are here illegally, but rather gave the message that if you can get your children across the border, please let me finish my answer. If you can get your children across the border, that they can stay. And he produced a tragedy. There's kids, children, God bless them, they're floating in the Rio Grande now, dead. Because
And that's
the president,
why isn't it you guys who do not want to give the president money to assist this? Why are you guys not signing the immigration bill?
That's not true.
Why?
That's
because
not true. Wait.
I hate to say this, but you
Because-
you really don't mind. I mean, I can't. I shouldn't say
Please
this.
be careful what you say. Don't say that we don't mind that people are dying.
I'm not saying. There are people who truly don't mind seeing people picketing buses with women and children in there who have just walked 1,000 miles and a half dead. I'm sorry. That makes us look so bad.
We ought to ask, not why is there picketing, but why are they here? And they're here because our president once again, has not enforced our laws.
They're here because it's America. They're here because it's safe. They're here because where they come from, they're being killed.
A nation that can't
And they're
defend its
being-
borders doesn't exist as
That's
a
right.
nation.
That's right.
Well, I'll tell you what.
The federal government,
defend our
the federal
borders
government has
against women and children.
Ken, I've been on those
Yes.
borders.
I don't know why
maintain
we're
the
not.
integrity.
I don't know why we're not going out there,
Ken,
and if they come
Ken,
to
have
our
you ever
women
been to
and
the
children,
borders?
you pick them up and you take them in.
Let me tell you why. The world population grows at 88 million a year. 88 million new people a year come into the world. Is it our obligation to go out there and
Feed,
get
clothe
every
everybody?
one of those 88 million people and say, come to the U.S.?
This is America.
Take
Are
that
you trying to
3.7
tell women?
No, answer the question.
Women and children.
Are you answer the question?
It's women and children. Some children are so small they're being carried,
Why are
and you
not
guys
taking care
don't
of-
want them.
Why don't you care about
You
American
take
children,
them,
women
you
and
bring
children
them
that are
in.
suffering?
You take them and you
Take
bring
women
them
and children in
You-
our own
we do
country
not,
that are
not
suffering.
do that.
Well, how come you're not taking care of
Ken,
women
could you
and
answer
children
my
homeless
question? I think
in
you
our
just
own
answered
country?
it, but I want to confirm it.
Go ahead.
You're saying the United States has an obligation to take in the 88 million new people who are children who are born every year.
That we
should go out there and get say 88
we
million.
have an obligation to take all people who come to our border, especially women and children, who are afraid of being killed in their country, because this is America.
That's not true. They're afraid of
not
being
going
killed.
to
That's
other
not true.
places
So- That is
because
not
they're
true.
So that's a
they
novel
come to
theory.
America.
not true.
Even the United Nations and all of the rules of international law do not require any country to take in what is called an economic refugee. War refugees, if some people are going to get killed, discrimination refugees, if they're being discriminated for like Christians are in the Middle East. there is an obligation under the treaties we've signed to take them in, give them shelter, but there's never been an obligation to take an economic refugee in. You're saying that anyone who's poor through the world and gets themselves to a U.S. border and says, I'm a poor person, we should take that person in.
We're talking and have been talking about women and children.
Okay, any women and children.
Any woman and children.
No, and this has been what the conversation, when you say, should we take the world in? No, we shouldn't take the world in. But
Where do you draw your line? Where do you draw your line?
Come to our border.
Where do you draw the line?
Come to America. Women and children. That's where you draw the line.
So
if the women and children come and they're not, got strapped dynamite on them and they're not terrorists, and they've just walked so far and they're almost dead, we take women and children.
And so let me make it clear that of all the people in the world, and how many million of people? There's like 5 or 6 billion people in the world. So of those 5 or 6 billion, probably about a half would qualify as, and as we look at them, as being really, really poor. So half of those are probably women and children. So there's about 1 or 2 billion people. If they arrive at our border, we're supposed to take in those 1 or 2 billion people?
I'll tell you what, if you can get a billion people walk on water across the ocean,
no, they won't walk on water.
We should take them in.
They won't walk on water. They'll come in boats.
They'll criminals. Look at Cuba. Look at what went on in Florida.
This is fantasy.
Can I add something to you? Have you been to the border? Have you ever been there? I want you to hear me out for a second.
I didn't think that this was going to be a big deal between us.
I know, but hear me out for a second.
Yeah,
I've been to the border.
I've been to the border.
I've been over from Arizona, and I helped build a fence in California. Okay, I was there on the border. I'm telling you right now, where is all the Democrats kicking out the doors for the women, our women that are in shelters? Where are they trying to help our own families here in the country? They're not. They're bending over backwards for another country, and we got so much poverty in our own country.
We're watching women carrying little children.
Send them back.
So what you're saying? Let me just see if I've got this straight. So a woman, a child, and children coming without parents.
Feed them, send them back.
And what you do is you say you can't come in.
He didn't say that. What he said was, feed them coming back and remove the cause that gets them in.
Feed them and send them right back to their president. That's what I'm saying. We should take care of our own. Don't you think we should be feeding our own Americans?
No, I think, yeah, you're right.
Do you think we should help our poverty?
I think you guys have already said that the people who are poor in this country have cars and colored TVs.
No, we're not saying that. I didn't say that. Now I said the ones in shelters. I said the ones that are in shelters. We got thousands. We got many kids that need adoption.
You want to know something?
Take care of our own country first.
These people who just walked 1,000 miles would be very happy to live in one of our shelters. You want to know what I would do if I was the president? I would get them on the bus, stop by McDonald's, feed them, and bring them right back to the border. That's what I would do. Make sure you give them water and suntan lotion.
There's a practical limitation. Right back. There's a practical limitation, Ken. We can't maintain our prosperity. We can't maintain our political institutions if we're overwhelmed by the poor of the world.
You guys give me the impression that it's a step back to let these refugees, and in my opinion, they are refugees. They're coming from
illegal immigrants.
Coming from countries where
illegal
a lot
aliens.
of them afraid. All right, under gang violence, being killed, being raped, children leaving, their parents leaving them and saying, "Go to America." And at this moment in history, what you're saying, and not you guys personally, a lot of people are saying, "Hey, bring them to McDonald's, send them out, let them go." Where?
Where do you draw the line?
Back home?
What percentage of the 88 million new people a year are you going to let in?
That's where we draw the line with the women and children. With the women and children.
Okay, so 40 million people a year.
If they're women and children, yes. That's not a step backwards, that's a step forward.
Okay, so in 10 years,
this is America.
In 10 years, we will have 400 million poor people
This is what's coming over the border with those women and children, right there. Gangs. Okay, these are pictures from the border.
This is awful.
This is what's coming over.
Oh, come on.
Okay? Pictures like this here.
Come on.
Look at the gangs. They got the Brazilian gangs that came over, the immigrants over in Somerville, in Cambridge, and other areas. The crime that goes on.
All right. If you want to
That's what's coming. That's a fact.
Let's leave this as it is because I think it's.
But I mean, that's the fact. That's in between with those kids.
I got a great idea. Why don't we talk about
what's really interesting about this discussion, though, is because remember I talked at the beginning of the last show about how there's some people who legislate from a point of view of emotion and always want to say yes, and others say, well, what are the consequences? I get it, Ken. We all feel real bad.
On emotion.
It is.
Based
You are.
on
You got to put the
You are.
emotions aside.
And I get
When
it.
I see
There's nothing
a
more.
woman carrying a child in the desert coming across the border, and I see people picketing them or pushing them back, that's not America.
Okay.
And that's not
Ken,
emotional. That's the truth.
No, that's emotional because what you're not asking is what is the consequence of having open borders? And the consequence is that you lose your country and you lose the basis of the prosperity that we've worked so hard as Americans over generations to produce. You lose your political institutions.
I'm sorry.
You're talking about bringing in 40 million people a year.
No,
because
I didn't say that.
No, what's the limitation? Then tell me what the limitation. You said 88 million new people a year. You said only women and children.
Okay.
You lose
Then
your
how come I don't
country
see
when
the
you lose your
Democrats and the
hide.
homeless veteran
This
shelters?
is America.
How come I don't see you? You got a large homeless veterans problem here in Nashua, in Manchester. You got a lot of homeless people. Why aren't everyone raising hell about helping these people? You're worried about send them back, take care of our own.
You got the last word.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I work with Harbor Homes. I work with Liberty House, the homeless places.
Let people know how they can get you.
You can get me Al Baldessaro. I'm a little passionate on this issue here, as you can see. Al Baldessaro from Londonderry, www.albaldessaro.com, or call me on my home phone, 603-425-6997.
And I'm Bill O'Brien. I'm state rep from Mount Vernon, New Boston, where I'm running again. And you can reach me, my home phone, 673-6617, cell phone, 630-8710, or my email address, williamlo'brien@gmail.com.
And you guys on Facebook?
Facebook, yeah.
Okay, I'm probably not going to have the entire last word, but I want people to understand. I think these types of conversations are really important. And yes, we sometimes get a little emotional about it. Look, I'm not 100% right, and they're not 100% wrong. That's not how it works. There's got to be some give and take along the way. What they're saying about what we've just been talking about, there's some truth to this, all right? But there's also some true how I see it. Now, Mr. O'Brien is running again for the state representative, and so isn't Mr. Baldessaro, and so isn't Ken Gidge. And I've got to tell you, they're here speaking. They're not afraid. They're not running around. They're not running away. And this we must be very thankful for. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming in.
It's always an honor.
And I expect you to come back. I really, really do. You promise you're going to come back.
I will.
He hasn't too much fun with doing this here. He'll be back.
I want people to understand that. It's really important. Okay, my name is Ken Gidge, and you can get me at Gidge World, which is an art website, or you can get me at telephone, 603-864-9332. If you'd like to do a show here or talk to us or complain, you can give me a call at 603-864-9332. Also on Facebook, you can come, say hello. You guys on Twitter? Or
Yeah, I Twitter, Al
LinkedIn?
Baldessaro. I'm LinkedIn. I'm all over the place. I'm an easy guy to get in touch with. Call me. Come by my house.
I wish there were more shows. I wish there were more shows like this. I really do, simply because I think it's very important. There are some very strong people and some very
Well, you know,
strong
Ken, like
points of view.
you crossed the aisle with Bill and worked on legislation, which was successful. You know?
Goodbye. Thank you very much.
preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.